Today, we have an interesting presentation today because we have a special guest, Matthew David, who is a registered MARA agent from Australia. He's based out of Darwin, and he is here today to talk about nursing and how to immigrate into Australia. So let's get to it. A little bit about myself and Adapt. We are a Canadian immigration consultant, in case you're confused. But Asset and Asset and Adapt, work hand in hand to facilitate more migration from Canada and vice versa. And what does Adapt do? We are licensed in Canadian immigration for all the programs, and we cater to you from the start till the end. So that's a little bit about us. Without further ado, let's go ahead. Well, this is an introduction about me, but I think today is about Matthew. The only thing about me that I would like to say in this is that I was in Australia myself some time ago, and I studied there and lived there at the universities. And this is something that I'm very familiar with Matthew. So let me introduce you to the man of the hour. Matthew is based out of Darwin. He's a registered migration agent. He is a member of the Migration Institute of Australia. He's a member of Migration Alliance, a qualified education agent counselor, a registered mental health social worker, and he has also done community leadership like the mental health ambassador for Northern Territory, and he's a founding member of the Ignite Potential. So he's done a lot of things, and he's very experienced and well known in the Darwin area. So I would move the charge to you. Take over.
How are you all? I hope you are doing good today. So I just came to Canada for this webinar. I've been, it's just nice to meeting you, Teresa, again. So I'm straight into the topic. I don't want to talk too much. I believe you might have a lot of questions, so we will go through the questions as soon as I complete the presentation. So this presentation covers all occupation, but gives some importance to nurses because few of the nurses requested, to talk about how to migrate from Canada to Australia. So as you know that, you can see the slide. We are the eighth largest immigration population who lives in Australia, and India, England, China, New Zealand, Philippines, that's all the main migrants from. It's more than 30% of migrants are among our total population. So you can see how big the migrant population are. So Australia's always welcomed migrants, and especially the skilled migrants. I think it's not like Canada. Canada people can come here with many, but Australia is very particular about occupation, and I've seen a lot of recent changes in Canada.
Yes, targeted draws.
Yes. So Australia have been practicing that for years, and that if you can see the screen, you can see the 3 occupation lists Australia have. So the medium and long-term skill, the STSO and ROL skill list. This skill list always get revised based on the need of Australia. For example, the main list, the medium and long-term strategic skill list, is the skill list where 212 occupations there, and this occupation is widely short in Australia. The STSO list may probably state, ROL is the regional one. So how this work means like Chamber of Commerce, like here and all, they report the shortage in certain parts of Australia, and they made a list and they find out which sort of occupation is in short in Australia. So they can make this list, and from the list they only get invited. So if your occupation comes under that 3 list, you are eligible to apply mini visa. So we mainly have 3 subclasses for Australian skill visa sponsored by the government. It is called Express Entry and PNB here.
Yes.
Right? So we we call as a number there. It's 189, 190, and 491. So 3 of them are a PR visa. So 189 is invited by the Commonwealth of Australia. It's like expressed like here, but 190 and 491 are PNV ones. So it need a support of the state, and it is a common visa. And the second one is called employer sponsored visa, like LMI. You do here. So the 186 number is where the people get direct PR from anywhere else from the world. So a lot of medical professionals comes to Australia on 186, engineers come, IT guys comes on 186. So that's straight PR. Then after 4 years they can be in citizen. 494 is for regional employers. When I say regional, the concept is different in Australia. So if you know Australia, other than like Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane, everything else considered as regional in Australia. So 494 is for regional employees who can be sponsored workers from overseas. And 482 is again, it is a short-term no PR pathway. 186 and 494 have a PR pathway, but 482 is a certain visa which you can come there for 2 or 4 years. And if you want to renew it, you can renew. And if you wanted to go to PR after that, you can go. All right. So when I say about PR in Australia, as you know, here it is called what point?
The CR.
The CR score.
Yes.
In Australia, we call as a skilled point, the point eligibility. So certain factors give points like same like in a Canadian system. So I will go through that first. I'll come back to this slide later. So 65 point is the minimum point for an Australian visa. If you get higher score, same like here, if you have higher CR score, you get invited. But some state is different, even if it is a less points, if your occupation is critical, you get invited. So the first point is the highest point you can get is one of the highest point is qualification. So if you have a bachelor or master's, not like Canada, even if it is master or bachelor's, you have 15 points. But if you have a doctoral degree, you get 20 points. Diploma is 10 points, or any other education is 10 points. So that's where, and age is another factor in Australia. So the management, this point score is called 30 points. You can score from the age of 25 to 32. And when it's turned 33, it comes down to 25. After 40 to 45, 15 points. But after 45 age, you can't be qualified for migration. Then you get 5 points if you study in Australia. If you studied in regional, you get 5 extra points. Then there's another one is called skilled employment. So a lot of people from overseas get these points because if you have 8 years of experience in last 10 years, we get 15 points. If it is less than 5 years, at least 5 years is 10. Less, at least 2 years is 5 points. So that's why you can get additional points. Number 6 is if you studied in Australia and if you completed a STEM qualification, you get extra points. Then the number 7 is if you've been working in Australia, is probably more relevant here. Number 8 is the English language, which you also required in Canada. So if you are a competent English, that is 6 each. You need to have a 6 each for qualifying for migration, but you don't get any points. But if you are a proficient like 7, 7, 7, 7, it can be any English language can accept it in Australia. Like even IELTS, you can academic and you can have the general, but it's occupation specific sometimes. So superior is 8 equivalent, 8, 8, 8, you will get 20 points. You can do PTE, you can do IELTS, you can do Cambridge, you can do, what is the American one? It's
Pearson?
Pearson is the other one, PTE. The PTE there's one more, yeah.
We have South.
No, we don't have that. Yeah. So there are 5 qualifications you can do over there. The English language. It seems like Pearson is getting a good traction there because I think most of the people can score 7 each in Pearson, but a good number getting 8 each, so they can get the highest points. Then another factor is the partner points. If you're married, you get your partner has to be qualified. Like she needs to get a skill assessment, or he needs to get a skill assessment. And I will talk about skill assessment in a minute. Then they have at least a competent English, like 5 each. Sorry, 6 each. They will get 5 points. But if you holding a Canadian passport, the partner holding a Canadian passport, they will also get 5 points.
Oh, right. That's interesting.
So that an English passport, like an English-speaking country passport, like US, Canada, or UK, they consider they have a competent in English, so they will get 5 points straight. But if you're not married or if you're divorced, Australia will award 10 points. So that's an additional points there. Then I'm not talking about number 11 and 10 is it's people living. Number 11 is for PY, completed a special degrees there, who can complete a program there, get 5 points. The credential community language is where you can apply online now. It is called the translator exams. So certain languages, as a migrants, we need some translators there. So if you pass a recognized translation course at an exam, you will get 5 points. There in, for example, Punjabi, Hindi from Indian language, and Tagalog from Philippines are all accepted in the language there. So you need pass that exam, you will get 5 points. Then I talk about PNB, like the required state nomination, that can also attract certain points. If you are selected for the 190, the PR supported visa, you get 5 points. And if it is 491, it is 15 points. So 491 is not a full PR, it is a transitional PR. So that's why you get 15 points. You have to stay in regional for 3 years, then you can move into the PR.
And this is like the
LMI sort of thing. So I need to talk about skill assessment. It's a bit different to Canada, to Australia. So in Canada, you need to have the registration before you come there. Sorry, in Australia. So not like when you come here and do the registration, it's not going to work there. So for example, a nurse, they need to be an Australian registered nurse before they come to Australia. A social worker has to be a registration before they come to things. A computer, IT professional has to get an ACS, Australian Computer Society assessment, and that paper is equate to Australian qualification and experience. So all of that that needs to be done by their professional body, and that has to be done before they need to come to Australia. So that is what we call as we call the name called skill assessment. Your skill and your experience and your education to be to be assessed by their educational bodies. All right. I'm going to talk a bit on nursing migration. Do you wanted to check if they have any questions so far, or you wanted to end up?
We will do the questions towards the end.
Okay. And hope we are audible and also So I'm going to talk about a bit more in the nursing migration. So that purely because of few people called and few people registered with us in last few months about a nursing movement, and I wondered why people wanted to move, especially nurses who highly paid in Canada wanted to move to Australia. So there was a big movement to Australia from UK from last 4 or 5 years. It's huge. Now we've seen like a lot of signups to our migration from Canadian nurses. The one thing I asked, my curiosity why they wanted to come. So the biggest things they probably have said the climate and the pay conditions and all. So we will talk a bit more into that. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about nursing. So the Canadian nurses can get a registration directly from here to Australia through a New Zealand pathway, because New Zealand and Australia work together. We have a transplant partnership there. So we get them, I'll talk about a bit more into the next slide, and they can come there without, if they're holding a Canadian passport, without even doing IELTS or anything, they can convert their license to Australia and they can come there. Okay. So in recent times, we've seen a massive number of people coming from Canada to Australia, and especially the white population of Canada is coming. and I've seen the majority of them are the teaching field. So even in the Northern Territory, there are a few schools who sponsored teachers from Canada. So it was quite interesting. And then the registered nurses, another cohort of people moving from Canada to there. Then a lot of doctors, medical practitioners in various like physiotherapists, medical doctors, we call it general practitioners and specialists who are coming from Canada there in the recent times. Then there are mining engineers and people working in energy and manufacturing.
Yeah.
These are the five cohorts we've seen are moving out from Canada for a better prospect. And the one of the reasons is the salary that we will discuss if they have any question in that. So this slide is mainly for the nurses. It's basically they can check the self-check eligibility, and they can check what documents they need it. As I said, you can see in the self-check eligibility in Canada, there is a particular rule for Australia and New Zealand. The Canadian nurses has to be registered with Ontario or British Columbia.
Okay.
Only those two registration can be accepted through this pathway. If they are not, they need to do an extra study or something. They need to do like NCLEX again, an online examination. So it is a different pathway. They can't directly convert. They can come, but they need to do an extra couple of steps. So for Canada, unfortunately, they only accept Ontario and British Columbia, and they must have 1,800 hours of post-registration nursing experiences in any country. It can include their home country and here. So the CGFNS will request that the nursing registration verification. The entire process of until they get their PR can take up to 1 year. Okay, and all the documentation is pretty similar. The passport, nursing council registration certificates, their initial employment histories, IELTS and OET if they require, or if they must have done IELTS before they're coming to Canada, so they can submit all IELTS for that, the registration purpose. This is basically how this is going to work. The first one is CGFNS. We get CGFNS verification. They submit that to the Nursing Council of New Zealand, and they complete the Nursing Council of once they complete the nursing registration, they can get a same registration in Australia. We call it APRA, Australian Health Regulation Authority, Practitioners Regulation Authority. The ANMAC is their assessment body where they can get that paper saying that they are qualified for skilled migration. So this is the 4 body you're going to, especially nurses, going to meet. So this is the credential verification of the New Zealand. So how that's going to work, and this is how the nursing. No, next one you can done the New Zealand Nursing Council. How this this can be done. So when I said other than British Columbia and things, there they maybe need to do a theoretical exam, and the objective clinical exam is called OSCE again to get the result of the Ontario and the British Columbia people. There's 2 additional things they may need to do. That APRA is same process after that. Once the New Zealand pin is registered, generated, they can apply directly to APRA under the Trans Mutual Agreement. Yeah. So ANMAC is the Skill Assessment Body, Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council. They need to give you a paper stating that you are equivalent to an Australian nurse and your experience calculated this much. That can be submitted for the visa purpose. So for nurses and for medical practitioners, once they have Australian registration, like here it is, there are a lot of vacancies after the COVID in Australia. Okay. The Australian, the hospitals are suffering because of lack of nurses. That because of some of this, the COVID made people thought about working in hospitals are not safe. Yeah. The enrollment has gone down. So we really need nurses and doctors there. And also the aging population is high in Australia, and Australia is developing. So we need nurses, we need doctors, we need health professionals, we need mining engineers. A lot of those things. This economy is booming now, so we need that there. So all they need is get the registration done. If they find an employer through Seek Indeed, or there are some website there, or we will also have our own the signed partners in Australia, like how we have hospitals, we have private aged cares, we have things. We will recruit for a long time there. We have a recruitment license in Australia, so we do that recruitment from Canada too. That's all about my the talks, because I wanted to talk a bit more from people. If you have any question, you can ask it.
Yeah. So this is the questions right now is what I have and what I think that I'm going to pose to you. These are some frequently asked questions and some questions that come into my mind when you're here as a Canadian to move to Australia.
Okay.
So while I'm doing these questions, please still post your questions on the chat box. So by the time we're done with this, we will get to you, and Matthew can answer your questions. So my first question to you, Matthew, why do you think a Canadian citizen should move to Australia?
Right. It's a very, very difficult question. So from my experience, I asked there are a few people who are doing the visa with us from Canada, and all populations, including the native populations of Canada. So we asked a lot of questions, and everyone had a different answers. So if you think about them, my answers probably going to be more into migrant population here, who migrated to here and wanted to work from Canada.
Yeah.
So the first answer probably going to be Australian climate. Everyone loves Australian climate. It's not extreme there. So you have every climate there. If you want cold, not like Canadian cold, a standardized cold weather, you have Melbourne and Sydney. It's very consistent in the climate. And if you want humid, you want this like the tropical climate, you have a vast majority there. That is one of the reasons, main reason. But certain occupation like nurses and doctors highly paid in Australia than Canada. The minimum payment of an Australian worker is $23 plus. Any job if you go to McDonald's, if you do cleaning, you have to get paid $23 per hour. $23 per hour. It's Australian dollar and Canadian dollar almost same now.
And that's the minimum wage.
That is the minimum wage of Australia. Even the tax system are not same here. You get the social security benefit, you get the child benefit. All of those things are there available. So the first is climate, I say. Second one is again depends on some occupation may get high salary here, but majority of the occupations are getting much more better paid there.
Okay.
And their penalty rates, like if you work evenings, if you work Saturdays, Sundays, the penalty is high in Australia.
When you say penalty, what does that mean?
So penalty means, for example, a nurse, if you work in weekends, if you work more than 38 hours a week, she has to get 1.5 overtime.
Yeah.
Overtime is there, and also if you work in evenings, you get extra money. If
Right.
you work at night, additional money.
Right.
If you work on Saturday, additional money. I don't know how you can say. For example, if a registered nurse work in Australia for 2 weeks, like 38 hours a week, that is the standard there. After tax, she could earn anywhere near to $4,000 after tax.
Per month?
No, 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that is the salary I can say like an experienced nurse can take home after the tax.
Okay.
After all the cuttings, after your superannuation, as much a nurse who do the shift jobs can earn. When I say about hourly rate is probably 50 to 60, same like Canada.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this, the additional evening shift, night, Saturday, Sundays, and another attraction is you have a long annual leaves.
Okay.
In where I'm coming from, in the top part of Australia, in North Territory, in government, you have 6 weeks of annual leave a year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a nurse or a medical practitioner who do the shift work, if you do five Sundays or 5 weekends, you get additional 1 week. So it is 7 weeks of holidays in a year, and 2 weeks of the sick leave. So it is a 9 weeks of paid holidays a year. So it's a very generous thing. So that can be attractive to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Then the future of Australia is another one people says. Australia probably 3% of land has been probably used till now, and so there is a high strategy they put forward to grow in Australia. A lot of the Western interest in Australia, especially from US, You have a high defense investment in Australia because
Mhm.
Australia, in a very strategic location around this main, the China, Japan, and India, all of that, that can have a lot of potential for the growth.
Yeah.
So, mining, we have a big mining. We didn't touch maybe 3% of 2% of our mining things. Lithium is there, gold there, diamonds there. So a lot of mining engineers going there. So it's too big. Australia is too big. Yeah. So that's probably one of the reasons I could say.
Okay, so one of many that you mentioned. So, what are the advantages of a Canadian passport to immigrate to Australia? So, I know you spoke about the Canadian citizen, but because you have a Canadian passport, and yes, in turn you're a citizen, what is the distinct advantage of that in terms of immigration?
Two-way, Australia accepts dual citizenship. Okay, if you're a Canadian passport holder, you don't need to leave your passport.
Yes.
You can always have your Canadian passport. Australia also can give you the citizenship. You can have your citizenship. So that is one advantage I want to mention. So, even if people come there and they like it, they can always come back. Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, Canadian passport considered equate to 5 points in the migration space.
Yeah.
For example, if a nurse wanted to come for it, or a doctor wants to come, or an engineer wants to come for an Australian, the employer sponsored visa, they don't need to give IELTS because they have a Canadian passport. It's equated to a competent English.
Yeah.
So that is a great advantage. But other than that, everything is, the process is same for everyone. But the English language and the dual citizenship is the main.
Okay. So, do Australians earn more than Canadians?
Yeah, I think I answered all of that. The base salary, definitely any base jobs, you can earn it.
So the minimum salary is $23 when compared to our provincial. Each province has different minimum salary. I think it starts from 15, depending on the province you're in. So that is interesting. So if I was a nurse and I'm looking to work in a hospital, what is the work culture there? I think you've already touched upon this in terms of the penalty and overtime.
Yeah.
But what kind of culture is it? Because the reason why I've put this question is there seems to be a lot of stress at work or burnout here in the Canadians from what I hear.
Okay.
So is that similar work culture? In Australia?
You've been to Australia, right? We not as lazy people there. So I don't think so. It's a sector by sector. Like in the hospitals and all, I don't think so. They have an adequate staff arrangements because there is a definition of how many staff need for one, each a group of people. So even if the staff goes down, there is a code they call, and they have to get emergency nurses or emergency staff from outside. So that needs to have a minimum number of staff every time in each occupation, and you can't tell someone to do more than what they expected to do. So, and it is very friendly culture in my experience. It's not stressful, and people want long last if it is stressful. There are a lot of jobs available in Australia because our unemployment is not that hard. If people want job, you will get job anywhere, especially for the critical sectors.
Yeah.
Within 1 hour, you will get a job offer. So it's that much demand there. So if you don't like one employer, you can always move. So most of the employers treat you well because they don't want it to lose you. It's got a lot of money involved in the recruitment and sort of process. I say it is very chill and relaxed, but some occasions, somewhere it may be stressful, but generally in the big firms, hospitals, public, it's very, very relaxed.
Okay. So what if our family want to come there too? So what are the pathways that the family can in terms of the shorter term and in terms of PR?
So look, in Australia, it's always good to apply all together.
Yeah.
And there is no discrimination on that. You need to come alone and all. So if one visa is for everyone, so when you apply so everyone get the same. At the same time, one fail, everyone will fail.
Yeah.
So if one people lost on the health, everyone will lose.
Yes.
One people will lose on your policy history, everyone will lose.
Yes.
So, but one people win it, everyone will win it. So it's you can come together. And in terms of job, the partners can easily get any job, even if it is unskilled, you will get a job.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So the last question I have for you is: does Australia have free education and healthcare like Canada?
Yeah. Same. The education up to year 12 is absolutely free in public schools. The public schools, some of the public schools are one of the best in the whole, I would say. And the healthcare is absolutely free.
Okay.
From GP, there's to be called bulk billing.
Yes.
From one to whole hospital admission is absolutely free. And in fact, the GPs and all, you can see a doctor within a day. You call in the morning, you can go and walk in. There are a lot of general practitioners there, and even specialists like pediatricians. Very next day you can watch in most of the places, unless you are in a very remote place.
Yes.
But again, there is probably a delay in surgeries and all of that in a public hospital system. And some of these migrants always keep a private insurance if they want.
Yes, just
not necessarily.
Yeah.
But the another advantage of the higher education in the college and university level, the government fund or loan the total amount to the student. For example, my kids, when they go to university, I don't worry about their money because the loan will be against them. The government will pay the university. It's called HECTA.
Oh,
and when they get the job, they need to pay back. So for me, I need to look after myself. That's it. The government will look after. And the same like benefit you probably get here is the child benefits and all.
Yeah.
They will get it. Yeah, everything same.
It's quite similar.
Same.
Okay, so that's good to know. So I have asked my questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We have one here. I'm in my 40s as a Canadian applying Australian PR. What's the age gap, particularly looking for skilled class IT system consultant roles?
Okay, so every IT or any occupation, irrespective of occupation, 45 is the age barrier. So once you can 45, you can't apply a PR. But you can always come as the provision, the employer sponsored, we call us the employer sponsorship. But there are certain schemes that can go up to 55 if an employer happy to support. It's called the AMA program, which is a big program, which I can't involved in that. So up to 45, you can always get into PR.
Okay. So we have another question. I have MBA outside CA assessed already done through West. So West is like an assessment body. In my 40s, single and Canadian citizen looking to apply for Australian PR, what are my options? Particularly looking for skilled class IT systems.
Okay.
So I think similar to the last one.
Okay. In Australia, there is one big difference. You need to be what you studied, you need to practice. So then that's what if you studied IT, you have to work in IT. Then only they can be considered as a skill assessment.
Yeah.
But if you look into some, in where I come from, the South India, where a lot of engineers move to IT.
Yeah.
So engineering is not really connected to IT.
Yeah.
Somehow they studied some IT subjects.
Yeah.
So what the assessment board is, they will reduce 4 years of experience to meet the education. So that's only work in IT.
Yes.
Okay. But majority of the time, nurses have to study nursing to perform as a nurse. IT graduate has to be IT professional has to be studied ideally IT subject to perform IT. I don't know if the particular person who studied bachelor or master's in MBA, plane management, or they can't practice in IT until unless they have an IT subject there.
Yeah.
And a good number of experience in IT. If you have it, you will get the skill assessment.
If not, for his scenario, if he has a master's and MBA, and if he has a bachelor's in computer science, but has work experience in IT,
he can definitely do it.
Okay.
Definitely do it. A lot of IT graduates do MBA for managerial role.
Yeah.
But if you have experiences in the last 10 years in IT, definitely you can do it.
Okay. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Next, hi, I did my bachelor's degree from accounting in Sydney and spent my 485 in Sydney after that. I did study in Darwin for 1.5 years. I completed my 1-year diploma of leadership and management. Okay.
It's good to see Darwin Mob is for
yes, a fellow Darwinian.
That's great to see, mate. Or the Australians call when you see mate. Yeah, look, Australian, currently, you asking particularly?
Yes, and
yeah.
there's a continuation to the question.
Okay.
And I left my advanced diploma in leadership halfway in 2021 December because COVID hit in my family, and that's why I moved back.
Okay.
I want to continue my study. If I complete that diploma, am I eligible for 491? And can it still count to my 2-year study? And will it fill my 2-year study requirements in Northern Territory?
Yeah. I could suggest you book my appointment because anyone who attending today's webinar get a free 30 minutes of my appointments. Like I need to find my time definitely, but my calendar will be open within a week for the Canadian clients because I'm going back to Australia in a week time. So my time and Canadian time has to be at probably night or in the early morning. So I will make my calendar and I will send to you. Your case is bit, I need to discuss in details. I need to know a bit more in depth, but happy to help you for that. There may be an option. You may meet the MD study and you may meet the 491, but I will talk to you in person for that. Sorry, I couldn't answer that here. It is very technical.
Yes. So sometimes the cases needs a little bit more information from you. So this is understandable. Either way, everybody here gets a free consultation link that ADAPT will send out soon. And you will also, in the meantime, be able to send your resumes to us, which we get assessed by Matthew. Regardless, you'll still be able to speak to him directly. So we have Jos Saurabh. I think I spoke to him today morning. Is the health information management profession in the occupation list? It's a good question. I'm asking this for my wife. She already have SHEMA registration. Does this give automatic accreditation with HEMA after assessment?
You know what is HEMA? I know you. Somebody is my client, right?
Yes. He's your client already, and he's also asking when can we expect the next round of invitation for this financial year?
So we're expecting a 189 round by next month in February. It's not sure, at least by March, because they have to complete that rounds, and there are a good number of invitations left with them. But ideally, it's probably going to come again for teachers and nurses this year.
Yeah.
And there are a few other professional candidates. Saurabh, I didn't get exactly what the management course you are saying. And do you know what exactly the skill assessment she got or you're looking for?
I think he's got a local one and they want to see if it's equivalent to the assessment in Australia. But I think Jos is better off to talk to Matthew again directly. So we can check if that's
Jos, if you could send you the transcript, then I will have a look of what she studied and what's her experience. Just her transcript and the CV, I will let you know.
Okay, so this is great that you have the opportunity to, these live webinars, this is why we created this, to have the opportunity to talk to your immigration consultants for whichever country directly and for free. So this is a good opportunity for you to use. So please use that link that we will send to have a chat with Matthew regarding your prospects to moving to Australia on a permanent residency or on a work permit as well. So the first step would be to send your resumes. But before that, wondering how I'm looking to connect with Matt to discuss the options. So Ali Agarwala, we're going to send you a link to book a consultation for you to talk to Matthew directly, and this will be for free. So this will be sent to your emails that you've registered with using this link, and you'll be able to get book this link online directly with him. And in the meantime, you can send your resumes to us to contact@adaptimmigration.com, where we can get it assessed for you for Australian PR. From Matthew, and he will also have your information with him when you book that consultation as well. So this will easily facilitate. So what we do here in ADAPT, and this is something that we wanted to mention earlier, is we are going to facilitate this communication for you to Matthew, and you now have someone local in a Canadian who's local for you to contact. At the same time, have our trusted partner Asset with and Matthew, who you know is trusted to do your Australian PR. So this way we help you move towards, if you want to move from Canada to Australia, we help you facilitate that. And that's what Adapt here is doing. So do we have any more questions? If not, you still have the option to speak to Matthew directly. And also, now that Matthew has had all the reasons and answered all my questions to what's the benefit of moving from Canada as a Canadian citizen to Australia, we have a chance to do that too in the future. And we will mention that in another webinar where we'll be able to talk to someone locally from Australia once he's back. Before we go, we have one question. Is it easy to transfer Canadian RN license to Australian license?
Yeah, if you hold an RN license, which you got in British Columbia and Ontario, then definitely we're doing more than 18 files at this stage. A few of them already got their APRA, so it is not a hard one. It is an easy process. If you are moving, if you wanted to move to Australia, yes, the registered nurses can easily move that from Canada.
Okay, so he did mention this earlier as well in his at the beginning. We can send out, this link will be up on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to go back and check more detailed information on what he explained during this time.
I think I'm planning to run a specific, the occupation-based, sort of webinars for you. So definitely we will come back on the nursing one, because I got a lot of interest for, I don't know the reason exactly. There's a big number of inquiries coming from Canadian to Australia. So we'll do a specific one for the registered nurses here. Yeah, definitely. And also don't forget to like this Adapt YouTube, so you can get all the updates. You can tweet around that quite often, and I'm going to do, we got 5 more items in Australia, and I will ask my other colleagues to come and do specific areas. They all do specific areas, so you can have a number of information in this channel.
Yes. So this is not just a end. This is just a beginning. We have a lot more collaboration, a lot more topics we can talk about that would help you here as Canadian citizens. Most people wonder that being an Canadian immigration consultant, why I am almost promoting Australia. But I have a connection with Australia too, and as Canadian citizens, as a Canadian citizen here myself, I want to be able to give that option to you as well. So, sorry, before we go, there's one last question. Asking us on someone's behalf, wondering what are options to migrate as entrepreneur.
Okay, so we do have a couple of streams for entrepreneurs, but unfortunately this year, Australia is reviewing the entrepreneurial visa program. So they have the program for this year, and that will be reopening by July 2024. So the amount anywhere we're looking is probably around 1 to 2 million Canadian dollars. It's not that easy like Canada for entrepreneurial visa there. The business visa is always a bit tough, and you need to able to invest that money in Australia, or you need to run a successful business in your career. Then you can come there and run this thing. So it is a couple of millions of dollars.
Okay, so I think it's also similar to the entrepreneurship visa here in Canada, where you do still need to show, but there are other options like startup where you don't need investments.
Oh, that's good.
So there are 2 things that you have to do to get in touch with Matthew. First, send us your resume, so you're going to get it as text to contact@adaptimmigration.com. The second one is you will get a link to booking a consultation directly with him, and you will get that in your emails that you registered here for. I hope we've answered your question, and I hope we've given you as much information as possible to help you in your journey, in your immigration journey, wherever that is. And we will see you more with more information. And we're here now in my office in St. Catharines, in the beautiful Niagara region. We just went and saw the Niagara Falls as well. We are proud local citizens here. If you have any questions for you and your family for Canada, you can contact us too. Okay, so thank you so much, and thanks for visiting and attending this webinar. You've taken your first step towards your journey. So congratulations on that, and thank you and all the best. Okay.
It's all right, right?